experience, most of immigrants don't even know they exist,
is really associated with use it or lose it.
Motivate our viewers kind of to dig more and start one of them.
Lyubomyr just said, where, okay, now that money you can invest and grow and not use it until whenever you decide to use it, maybe in retirement, and it still comes out tax-free at that point.
Hello, fellow immigrants. Today we are talking about house savings accounts. There are two types, and it's important for you to know the differences. And one of them even has this triple tax benefit, which is unique for all type of tax-advantaged accounts. So please stay with us and welcome my colleague, financial planner, Sarah. Sarah, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. My name is Gerber, and I run Momentum Financial Planning, which is a financial planning firm where you're in your early mid-career trying to get started, build financial stability, and figure out what these savings accounts and all of these acronyms mean for the first time. So I'm excited to be here and talk about it.
Yeah, I bet it's tough because we already had like 5 videos on the channel about ERA, Roth ERA, 401k, Roth 401k, all these peculiarities. But today we are talking about savings account, and from my experience, most of immigrants don't even know they exist. So maybe you can tell us a bit more the general overview, how they're used and why.
Yeah, absolutely. So these two that we're focusing on are FSA and HSA. And they're really only 2 letters in the alphabet apart, which is hilarious to me because they're very different contexts. But these are savings accounts that are provided by your employer that you can use for your medical expenses. High level, that's what we're talking about. And then there's some differences depending on what kind of medical expenses, what type of health insurance you have, and where you're at there. But those are high level savings accounts for medical expenses from your employer. To go into it a little bit more, FSA stands for Flexible Spending Account. And I really think of that as spending, that middle S really kind of starts to tell you what that's for. And HSA is Health Savings Account. And again, the S kind of has that connotation more on like the saving side here. And you can contribute to both through your paychecks, like either or, and your employer is not taxing you on that money. So that's already the tax benefit. If you are going to go to the doctor, pay $100, use your FSA money or your HSA money, that is essentially tax-free. That's great. You've gotten a tax break on that medical expense. So they're both the same in that sense. But the S for spend in the FSA is really associated with use it or lose it, because you have access to that money that you put in for that year. And then it's gone after that. Like you're really just putting in up to, for 2025, it's $3,300 to put in to that account that you could use for those expenses. Versus the HSA, you've gotten the tax break, but the tax break continues. It's the triple tax benefit that Lyubomyr just said, where, okay, now that money you can invest and grow and not use it until whenever you decide to use it, maybe in retirement, and it still comes out tax-free at that point. So there's still some nuances I want to talk to you, but high level, that's where we're at so far.
Would you say that HSA would be prudent to use like some kind of retirement account and then spending this money on house 20, 30 years later? Would be a good usage for that?
You could. You absolutely could. It's the only account that has the tax break going in along the way and then coming out. Now, you can only contribute $4,300 individual per year and $8,550 for 2025 in a family account. So this isn't going to, maybe make or break your down payment, but it could absolutely help as you're going through in that retirement. Like once you get to retirement, now you can use it for anything with no penalty. You just pay the taxes on that. So it is a lot more flexible of an account than I think people realize. It's really tempting to spend that money in an HSA now on all of the now medical expenses that you might be facing, but you absolutely don't have to. You can invest it and let it grow for retirement as an extra retirement account, like the Roth IRA, et cetera, that you've already talked about.
Oh, so it sounds like it's always better to spend FSA money first, and then if still medical bills needed to be covered, then use HSA, right?
Yes, I think there's two big things that people don't always realize about these accounts. So one is like, how do you choose whether to contribute to an FSA or an HSA? And that's the big choice as you're looking at what these mean. Well, one, you have to be on a high deductible health insurance plan for you to be able to contribute to an HSA in the first place. So you have to ask yourself if that high deductible health insurance plan makes sense for you, right? Are you an individual like really young, pretty much no medical expenses, have a good emergency fund, go for it, go on the high deductible plan, contribute the max to the HSA, let it ride for a while, right? Like invest it. Or alternatively, do you have quite a few health expenses that would be way over that out-of-pocket limit? Just, okay, now you pay that out-of-pocket limit and now you can still have that HSA eligibility versus like kind of in that middle, and you have to gauge on your personal situation. Maybe you do go FSA, keep it simple, use for those tax break now too. So I think that's the first choice. But what I think is so fun that I've had a lot of my clients be eligible for is a limited purpose FSA, which now, we're just getting these two accounts down. I'm introducing this like kind of third version here because you can do both the HSA, if that makes sense for you, plus also a limited purpose FSA, if your employer has that. And you can contribute that and use that money for dental and vision and keep your HSA for any medical or let it grow. But if you have if you're someone like me that whose eyes are just horrible and you have that, that's a great way. Use that vision money from the limited purpose FSA and save the HSA, because the limited purpose FSA you will lose, but not the HSA. Does that make sense?
For me, it does. I bet some of viewers a bit puzzled, but I have good news for you, dear viewers. First, of course, like this video, and Sarah made a great detailed article about those types of accounts, which we reference in the description to this video. Sarah, one more small question. You mentioned the employer-sponsored plans, but I read that self-employed can have one of those as well. Can you comment on that for self-employed people particularly?
Yes, you absolutely can. So you actually can open an HSA at any point. As long as you're on a high deductible health plan, you can contribute to one, and you don't have to be on another employer's piece. You can generally go and open that. Now, depending on your business and your self-employed situation, you may or may not be able to deduct what you're going in or the health expenses, different pieces there, but you can open that. The FSAs, though, are not for self-employed. Those you have to be sponsored through an employer for.
Got it. And if someone is eligible, they would go just to Schwab, Fidelity, or whatever and open it, like a typical brokerage, or there are some complexities as well to open as HSI?
Yeah, you generally have to go to, there's HSA Bank is one example. You can go to a specific more HSA custodian to open this. I haven't seen some of the more common ones kind of dive into this, because in some ways, it's so interesting. I think HSAs are great, and, financial planners can nerd out about them, but with the triple tax benefit. But depending on how much you're keeping in there, how much you're investing, you can only invest anything over $1,000 generally, and you have to keep some in cash. And depending on what your investment options are inside the HSA, I think it can also be some more hassle or not, or if you're switching employers frequently. So it's a case-by-case basis on what happens with my clients there. So it's not all, you know, there is some return on hassle there, but there is a little bit of hassle, I think.
Okay. Well, thank you anyway for the great article explanations. I remind everyone for likes. And the last question, is there anything else important to know about those accounts? And if not, we covered everything, then please motivate our viewers kind of to dig more and start one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So one more thing to know is to not be afraid if you're saying, okay, HSA doesn't make sense for me, but I'm too nervous to put money into the FSA, is to not necessarily be afraid to put money into the FSA, because even though it's use or lose, look at what your employer offers in terms of grace. There's two options that they can offer for grace that the IRS allows. They can offer you more time, typically a little bit more time, like through a March 31st, March 15th, say, of the following year. So an extra two to 3 months to incur those expenses. Or they can offer you some amount that gets rolled over. So up to 660 is the current amount that can roll over. So you should look at your financial picture and see, well, it might make sense to even just put the 660 in there because you have 2 years to use that and go from there. So there is some grace. It's good to know that we can have grace. And thank you very much for having this channel and for this source to be a resource.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. And just a reminder, you have the article in the description. And if you want to talk or work with Sarah, the article actually posted on her website, momentumfinancialcoaching.com. Thank you.